Good morning, everybody. And I just want to provide you guys with a little video introduction to your impromptu midterm and walk you through the files that are now available. Um, the impromptu is a little bit different than the other essays that you have done for class, the other assignments you've done for class. As you can see, there's now a folder called Module 10, Impromptu Midterm, available in Blackboard. The first file in the folder is important things to know for this week. So there are some things that are really important for you to understand before you get started with the midterm. So I copied this over from my in-person class, so it says we will not be meeting for class. Just know that the midterm is the only thing you guys have to do for this week. There are no other assignments. You have to do this assignment on your own. I cannot provide you feedback or help. The writing tutors or coaches in ACE can't assist you with this assignment. They've all been notified of what the assignment is. So if you try to squeak in there and get some help, they're going to shut you down. Because this is essentially a test. It's just taking the form of an essay. The essay itself is going to determine whether or not you will qualify to take the final. It's going to be graded a little bit differently than the past essays, where you get points for doing the assignment and you get the feedback. This is going to be graded using a rather specific rubric, which is in the assignment folder, Impromptu and Rubric, and we'll look at that in a second. I do really recommend that you read through the rubric carefully before you begin writing. Read through the assignment carefully, although we will go over it. I will go over it in the video here. You can ask questions of me before you start writing, but once you are actually writing, I can't help you. You can, however, use Grammarly as a tool that can check your writing. Grammarly checks for spelling, it checks for grammar. It's a great tool to catch sentence fragments and run-on sentences. It's a great tool to ensure that your writing is clear and concise. And you are able to use that on your midterm essay. If you are caught plagiarizing on this essay, you will get a 0. It will not be graded. That will make you ineligible to take the exit exam. No late assignments will be accepted. You have until midnight on Friday to turn it in. If it's late, it will not be graded and you'll get a 0, which again means you won't be eligible to take the final exit exam. It must be an MLA format, and it must be submitted as a PDF file in Blackboard. You can't email this to me. You can't type it into the submission text. It has to be attached as a PDF. I give you some links here to show you a sample paper in MLA format and a link to a video that walks you through the setup of an MLA format document in, I believe it's Google Docs, but it's very similar to Microsoft Word if you use that. It's all pretty much the same steps. It's also important to keep in mind that you need to have completed all of the other essay assignments to qualify to take the final. Over the course of this coming week, while you guys are working on the midterm, I'm going to be catching up on grading. If you have missing assignments, I will send you an email so that we can come up with a game plan. Because I want to make sure that any of you who have missing assignments have the opportunity to make them up to qualify to take the exit exam at the end of the semester. I do not get to grade the finals. I do grade the midterms, but I do not get to grade the finals. So my best course of action to help you is to ensure that you have all of your essays done, so that if something occurs where you do not pass the final, that I have a portfolio of your work that I can submit on your behalf to demonstrate your capability with the work and back up my confidence that you would be capable of taking English 101. And the only instance where you would not be able to submit a portfolio if you fail the exit exam is if you plagiarize on the exit exam. So don't bring in any outside information, no copy paste stuff. It's all, let it come from that beautiful brain of yours, because you guys are doing such a great job. Like, just keep it up. And again, if you have any questions about the impromptu midterm essay, ask before you start writing. Texting me is absolutely the best way to get a quick answer. I am not checking my email as frequently as I have been, just for my own sort of mental health. But texting, I will respond like that. Okay, so the impromptu and the rubric. Click on that folder. You get the rubric assignment, which we're going to look at here. It is set up like a checklist. So for each of the criteria, you will get a check in either the yes box or the no box, and then you will get a certain number of points. For each criteria, there's a number in parentheses. That's the total number of points you could earn for that particular element. So in the points box, for this first one here, it's worth 5 points. You could get 5 points. You could get 0 points. You could get 3 points. If you get anything less than the full points, so for this one, anything less than the 5 points, under the comments section on the second page of this rubric, you will get feedback as to why, what was lacking for you to not earn full points. It breaks it out into categories of focus and detail. You want to make sure that you have one clear subject. You want to make sure that the subject you're writing about, the topic you're writing about, is actually the assignment. You want to make sure that you have a thesis statement that explains what your topic is, the approach you're going to take, and mentions at least 3 details that you're going to discuss. You can have more than 3, but you need to have at least 3, because that 3 details means that you will have 3 body paragraphs, 1 body paragraph for each of these details. 3 body paragraphs, an introduction and a conclusion, gives you a nice standard 5-paragraph essay. So that pretty much covers the focus and details. It touches on the organization. You want your introduction to be engaging. You want to avoid phrases like the topic of this essay is, I'm going to write about, so on and so forth. You want to make sure that you have a body paragraph for each of those details. And if you have more than 3, obviously, then you would have more body paragraphs. You want to make sure that each body paragraph only talks about the detail, that one specific detail, and that there are smooth transitions between the paragraphs, so that it's not real choppy and feels like you took a little bit from over here and took a little bit from over here and just sort of like slapped it together, hope for the best. Let's see. Oh, and your conclusion. Make sure that you don't present any new information in your conclusion, and that your conclusion just sort of ties it all together like a bow on a package. Your voice, you want to make sure that your point of view is consistent. So if you choose to write in first person, I, me, my, you are consistent throughout. If you choose to write in third person, where you have distanced yourself from the subject a little bit, that you are consistent throughout. If you are writing in a conversational tone, kind of more along the lines of how you would speak if you were talking to somebody about the subject, that you're consistent. But ultimately, you want to be presenting your topic, your information with a voice of authority, because you are writing this as the expert on this topic. No research, though. You don't need any research for it. Let's see, word choice and language. Use vivid language. You want to show your readers instead of just telling them. So you want to hit as many senses as you can, as long as it is relative to what you are saying. You want to be clear and concise, direct with what you're saying. So there's no room for your reader to misinterpret or misunderstand what you are trying to get across to them. And that you choose appropriate language. This is not the time to do the, highlight, right click thesaurus and pick the $50 word, because that can change the overall meaning of what you're trying to say. So you don't want to risk introducing any words that don't quite fit. And then the last section here is sentence structure, grammar, mechanics, and spelling. Grammarly, use it, it's free. This is where we look for no run-on sentences, no fragments, no spelling errors, no grammar errors, no punctuation errors, that everything flows together very nicely, and that overall your paper is presented in MLA format. So Grammarly is your friend, and it is absolutely okay to use it for this assignment. And then the second page of the rubric is simply blank for now, because that's where I'll put my comments. Okay. So the impromptu assignment. You need to read the essay prompts carefully and then read both of the essay topics, and you're going to choose only one of them. You need to respond to the topic. I know that seems obvious, but every semester somebody submits something that is totally not related, so please stay on topic. Okay, so the essay prompt says, social media plays an important role in most of our lives. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat allow us to view and share personal experiences, communicate with friends and family, and meet new people. However, there are both positive and negative experiences associated with the use of these apps. And while shared experiences, communication, and the meeting of new people can have positive impacts on our lives, they can also create jealousy, place us in dangerous situations, and leave us isolated and unable to interact personally with others. So based on that, you will choose either topic A, which is writing a cause and effect essay where you write about either the positive or the negative effects of one social media app, like Instagram or Snapchat, on your life. Begin by briefly describing your use of the app and whether it has been a positive or negative experience. Then explain 2 to 3 specific effects that this app has had on your life. To conclude, reflect on what you learned about using this app. So for this one, you are looking at either the positives or the negatives, and only for one social media app. It could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, it could be Snapchat, it could be Facebook, it could be something else. You should write the cause and effect because it's based on the effects on your life. This should be written in first person. Topic B is a compare contrast. Write about 2 social media apps that you regularly use. Briefly describe one app where you have had a positive experience, and then briefly describe a second app in which you have had mostly negative experiences. Then contrast both apps by developing 2 to 3 specific points of contrast that you apply to both situations. For example, you could contrast privacy protection, safety, and ease of use. To conclude, reflect on what you have learned about using these apps. So for topic B, the compare contrast, you're going to pick 2 apps. One of them where you had positive experiences. The second one where you have had mostly negative experiences. Then you're going to pick points of contrast. And some of the examples, you could look at the privacy protection policies of the 2 apps and compare them. You could look at the safety, you could look at ease of use, you could look at a whole variety of other things, whether there is any cost involved, the amount of advertising or the type of advertising based on algorithms. You could look at them in terms of the ability to connect with new people. And then you're going to talk about those components and look at the 2 apps that you chose. Again, this lends itself to writing in first person, I, me, my. So think back to the things I said you should keep in mind. If you start writing I, me, my, you need to continue throughout. So take some time, read over the assignment, look over the rubric and checklist, and then, get started. And be sure if you have questions, ask the questions before you start writing, because if I get the hint that you are already in the process of writing or even planning your writing, I can't answer the question. So good luck, and I look forward to reading them.